Hello, namaste. My name is Nidhi Nagori and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of you have requested in your comments on my previous videos, which is studying in Canada. I have Ramneet here with me today, who has been an international student herself, who's basically done the whole drill and is now out there helping a bunch of international students with her experience and knowledge. So if you're considering an education in Canada, stick around. As always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments below, what is it that I should cover next? Thank you so much for all the work that you do, first of all. We'll jump straight to your introduction first.
I'm originally from India and I moved to Canada when I was 18 to study here. And I started studying a course in accounting, which is a 2 years diploma. And it's called an advanced diploma here because it includes a work term as well. So you get 2 internship work terms with this program. So I did that. And then because of that, I ended up getting my job in KPMG. And I work there as a senior consultant now. I started as a staff accountant. I work on initiatives to help international students with career development, with mentorships, with basically the opportunities that I never got when I was a student.
Or how does the Canadian education system work?
Okay. So in Canada, basically the education system is divided between colleges and universities. The system in Canada, in colleges, they provide you options to do a 1-year a 1-year diploma or a 2 years diploma. Now they have started introducing a 3-year diploma as well. And in all these diplomas, you have a choice to do it with a work term or without a work term. Depending on the college, different colleges provide different kind of programs. So these are all very specialized with each and every college. So they're not very generalized. And then all of these diplomas can ultimately be turned into a degree, but you basically get the transfer of the credits, but it's not a degree. So if you have to get a degree, you have to go to a university, or now even like the bigger colleges have started offering their own degrees. So bachelor's of commerce or bachelor's of arts, or all the degrees that we get in India. So you can get them here, but you essentially would need to transfer. But why these diplomas are so popular, I guess, within international student community in itself is, one, they're shorter, so you're not spending a long time, and anything above 2 years, so any program that is 2 years, once you graduate, you get a 3 years work permit in Canada. So you would get the same work permit even if you are doing a bachelor's, even if you're doing a master's or an MBA or a 2 years diploma. But what it comes down to is diplomas are cheaper versus you doing an MBA. So a diploma, when I was doing it like 4 years ago, one semester's fees is around $7,000 to $8,000 Canadian, like Canadian dollars, which translates into somewhat loosely like 4 lakhs in India. Which is a lot of money, of course, but it's relatively very cheaper. When you look at universities, their fees is around $10,000 to $11,000 per semester, and it escalates. So any fees you enter is supposed to escalate by the end of your program. So it escalates 2 to 3% every semester. So imagine if you're in a 4 years degree, you would end up escalating your fee every year. So by the end of your term, you're paying somewhat around $15,000 to $20,000 per semester. So that's just a lot of money, and it's I think that's a program for people who have a lot of money with them. But for international students from economically, like a middle class family or things like that, I think it's a better investment. So that's why there's a big traffic of international students coming to Canada in these diploma programs. And now, because there's so much traffic, these colleges are becoming bigger, they're getting bigger opportunities.
You mentioned the costs, first of all. You said like 7,000 Canadian per semester. Are there scholarships?
All the colleges do offer scholarships and like funds, and there's, again, depending on the kind of college you are, it's not standardized, of course, across the board, but most of the colleges, like the most established colleges, which includes like George Brown College or Sheridan, and then there's Seneca and Humber. These are really, really established colleges, and they do offer financial aids which are designated towards international students. So like coming on a full scholarship is not a major thing that they do, but once you're here, you do have an option to apply for these scholarships. Even I applied for a scholarship which is basically based on your merits, like the better marks you have, the better things you're doing, and then they have their various like grants that you, and it's directly applied towards your tuition. I received personally $3,000, and I've had friends who've received like over multiple semesters. So it could go to a various range around like getting like $7,000 as well. So it depends on that, and also a lot of banks, I've seen this because it used to happen in George Brown. They do these programs when they are like giving out scholarships basically. So it's like a partnership, but then if you apply on it and if you're doing great, then you could end up getting like private scholarships as well.
How are you going to rate the job opportunities if you study in Canada?
I definitely think the job opportunities are much higher if you're studying here versus when you come as a skilled immigrant, versus when I'm seeing when you're a student here. One, it gives you those 2 years to gain that Canadian experience that they want, right? Like they always say that we want someone with Canadian experience. They're not necessarily meaning that they want it in your profession, but they basically want to know that you can communicate, that you can become a part of a Canadian team, and that you could sustain in a Canadian team. So by the time you go look for your employment, you already know how to become a part of a Canadian team. I think that really trades off well. And then the other thing is, again, when you're a student here, the networking opportunities are way more. Like the college have partnerships with different employment, and also it gives the employers again the same confidence that you've studied here, that you have the Canadian resources in you, and even if I'm studying here for 2 years, my diploma is more relevant to them versus a degree in India, because I've studied the Canadian market versus someone in another country has studied their own market and their own economy.
Obviously, I'm going to ask you, what is your advice to all, because just given the situation that we're in now, we have a pandemic and so many things to consider. What's your advice to somebody who is potentially looking at studying in Canada? Do you still advise it to them? And what is it that they should look out for, most importantly?
I mean, again, it comes down to a very personal point of view. I think given that everything right now is so like virtual, and all these colleges are going virtual as well. And, if you don't get a chance to travel to Canada, then I don't think so it's worth you spending that much money just to get that online education, because a big part of you committing to paying that much money is that you want to become a part of that culture, that you want to be here and you want to be here to be able to work here. It comes down to cost. I think that's major thing that everybody needs to think about, that it's high, like the cost of studying as an international student is high. And as I said, it escalates every semester. So you're not just looking at that semester, you're looking at a full term. So you have to make sure that, you're ready to commit to that amount of money. And it comes down to time. Like everybody is on a different timeline as yours. Like, as I said, like if you're coming through a study route, you have to study for that significant period of time, and then you go on a work permit, and then you are eligible to apply for a PR. And I think the third it comes down to is that assessing that factor, because even if you have per se you study here, and then you have to kind of add up to see how much your points would come around to, and then what's your latest that you could apply that PR to. Because per se I never studied in India, so for me I had to work for 2 years to get my points to up to par, and then I had to focus a lot on my language skills. So my age made a big difference as well. So really study through the immigration. Everything is online. Canadian websites are amazing. Their entire system, entire point calculation, everything you would ever need to immigrate is there. So please do your research. If you're moving bases, make sure you're doing an informed choice, and then, making a decision for yourself, not just because my friend did so or my cousin did so or he did so and it happened for him, might not happen for you. So make sure you're making an informed decision. So if you want to take a risk, take a calculated risk, and just literally drill it down to, does it work for you? doesn't matter if it works for someone else or not. Does it work for you? If it's working for you, do it. If it's not working for you, don't do it. And then the only other suggestion I could give is, if it's possible, always come in something that has a work experience. A co-op term is really, really important, even if it's just one co-op term. And they do, again, people like Canadian system is work that they need the money. You have to even end up paying for the co-op term, but it is so worth it if you could get you that job. And it's easier to get a co-op versus it is to get a full-time job. So it's your pathway, and I think it kind of makes your whole co-op or like your whole diploma worth it. So if you always have a choice, come with the one with the co-op, because it pays off. It definitely pays off.
This has been great, and this is probably the most concise information that I found on higher education in Canada. So thank you so much, Ravneet. Guys, I'm also putting her links down in the video description box, so check it out and do connect with her if you have any questions. She's super approachable, and she's going to be more than happy to help you. That's what she's been doing for all this while. So thank you once again, Ravneet. It's been great talking to you in person, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, and thank you so much for doing this and putting the right information across the board. I think that's one thing that really lacks, of putting honest, unbiased information across the board. So thank you so much for doing this and taking out the time to do so. And yes, I'm so glad I did that, and I was able to give my piece of information on this. And if anyone ever has any question, they can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions.